Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you're looking to gauge the size of your monetizing audience for your online business, you may consider the analysis behind me. Here we take a look at a count of purchasers per day for this demo business, along with the count of purchasers over a trailing 30-day period. By comparing the two numbers, you can get an understanding of what your potential monetizing audience is and how many customers you're leaving on the table. So let me show you how to do this in MySQL now. The first thing we're going to do is use a table of dates. So let me show you this table. And then what we're going to do is for each date, we're going to count the number of monetizing customers. And then for each date value, we're going to count the number of distinct monetizing customers over a trailing 30-day period, beginning with each of these dates, so that we can recreate that analysis. We can call this table dates. And then we're going to join it to this table of revenue transactions. I will show you that table now. So per customer, we have their revenue transaction information. So the timestamp that they purchased along with their purchase date. So all of that is there, fantastic. So what we're gonna do now is a join between these two tables. We're gonna call this rev, and we're gonna join on, we want the revenue purchase date to be less than or equal to the dates.date, right? So for example, here's our date table, our first table, and it's got a value of September 13th, 2022. We want to make sure that we bring across revenue transactions for September 13th, 2022 as well from table 2 from the revenue table. And that will happen because the purchase date will be less than or equal to this date. The equal to part being the most important, obviously. And this revenue purchase date has to be greater than date add a negative 30 days from this date value in our date table. So what this is effectively saying is for September 13, 2022, and basically all dates in this date table, bring across revenue transactions that are equal to this date and greater than the date 30 days previous to this. So what that means is this join can potentially bring across 30 records. The record that is equal to this exact same date, and a trailing 29 records for a total of a trailing 30 records or 30 dates. So this is kind of an expansive join. So let's add our columns. We're gonna do dates dot date. And then how do we get monetizers per day? So to do that, we're gonna say case when. So when the purchase date, which is coming from our second table, is equal to this date, then we're gonna do a count of customers from our purchase table. We can call this daily monetizers. So let's check our work. So when the purchase date is equal to this date, or equal to September 13th, 2022, then what we're gonna do is we're gonna count the number of distinct customers from table 2 or our revenue table. If not, just count null, which won't add anything to this column. Okay. And then since we're bringing across 30 dates, this date right here, along with a trailing 29 dates that go before it for a total of 30 dates, all we need to do is just count the number of distinct purchasers across those 30 days, or those trailing 30 days from table 2 or from our revenue table. So very simply, no inner logic in here, just count distinct. Trailing 30-day monetizers. And remember, this is being calculated per day or per date in our table 1 SQL data source. So for each one of these dates, it's counting the number of purchasers on that date and the number of distinct purchasers across that date in the trailing 29 days. But there's a little trick to this. If you're a really early date, there may not be any trailing dates behind you, so you have to be sensitive to that time element there. So in order to have awareness around this, what we're going to do is we're actually going to do a count distinct on the number of purchase dates being brought across from our second table, or table 2. So we can call this trailing dates. And if the value here is 30, that means that, hey, we have enough trailing data to do a count of unique monetizers over the last or trailing 30 days. If it's anything less than 30, then we know we don't have sufficient or enough trailing data. But whatever value is returned here will tell us that. Oh, I gotta mind my spelling here, so this is gonna be purchase date. Let me change that there as well. There's a lot of copy and pasting in code, so sometimes you end up copying and pasting something that has a spelling error. And then let me make this final update here. Add a semicolon. Okay, so our query is running. We should be getting our data pretty soon. Okay, fantastic. So we have monetizers per day, and then we have a trailing count of monetizers over the last 30 days per day or per date from our date table. Now, the great thing is we have this additional column called trailing dates. This says for September 26, 2022, we only have 15 trailing days of data. Well, that's not enough, right? So as you scroll deeper into the data set and we look at more recent dates, we have a full 30 days. So let me show you something that you can do to help out with this is you can add a having statement and say having this equal to 30, meaning any dates that don't have enough trailing data, that don't have 30 days of trailing data, just drop those records. So we're not going to do that today, but I'm just showing you that you can do it that way if you choose. Okay, so we have our data. Let's move this over to Excel. So as you can see here, we have all of our data and we have our trailing days column. And you'll notice that right at October 11, 2022, we have enough trailing days. So we have that 30 that we need. So let's build the analysis starting from there. We want a count of daily monetizers and then a count of purchasers over a trailing 30-day period from each respective date. So here we are, here we have our analysis. So this is pretty insightful because in this demo online business, it has about 20 purchasers or monetizers per day and about 450 trailing 30-day customers. It's super interesting. It shows that about 4% of your monthly monetizers purchase on a daily basis. A ton of opportunity to boost the potential of this online business so you can capture more of those customers or get them to purchase more frequently. Thank you for joining today's workshop. Continue to like and subscribe. Thank you very much.